Hey guys, it's X. So those of you who have been following my Twitch or my Twitter probably know that I've been streaming, maybe you've caught some of the streams, and I've been streaming some Diablo 3 hardcore, Monster Power 10, self-found, barbarian gameplay, and that's all kind of confusing stuff. A lot of people, maybe not necessarily a lot of people, but I have noticed in the chat that some people have been asking what MP10 means or what self-found means, and such, because maybe some of these are terms that not everybody is familiar with, maybe not everybody's as familiar with Diablo 3 as others, so I'm going to go ahead and explain some of that. Here's the stream title that I've been using. I actually have to open it up on Notepad here myself. Wow, how unprofessional is this? So, the stream title that I've been using is Diablo 3, not ROS, sorry. Hardcore MP10, Self-Found Barbarian. Okay, so let me go ahead and break this down for you. Diablo 3, obviously, that's probably pretty self-explanatory. Not ROS. So ROS is, what that stands for is Reaper of Souls. And Reaper of Souls is the expansion to Diablo 3 that is currently in closed beta. Now some Twitch streamers and some YouTubers are in the beta. It's the friends and family beta right now, as far as I've heard. That's the last update that I heard as far as the closed beta is concerned. So anyway, it is closed beta, but there are some content creators out there already producing content on Reaper of Souls. But I'm not in that beta, so this part of the stream title is basically just letting anybody who's browsing Twitch, just looking for Diablo 3 content, basically lets them know that this is not a Reaper of Souls stream. So it's most likely at this particular point that Reaper of Souls is the content that they're looking for because they're looking to see what the expansion is all about. So this lets them know that this is a normal Diablo 3 stream. And it also lets those know who are looking for a normal stream that this is not Reaper of Souls. So that's good. So it just kind of clarifies things. Alright, so the next part of the stream title is Hardcore. So in Diablo 3, there are two types of characters. There are hardcore characters and there are softcore characters. A softcore character is what you would consider sort of like the normal gameplay. A softcore character can level up and die and then come back and then keep playing and then die again and then come back and keep playing. You know, there's like this minor penalty for death. I think it's like 10% gold loss or something like that. And depending on how much gold you have, maybe that's not quite so minor. But 10%, you know, you can probably get that back through just a few minutes of play of your character, depending on how you handle your income and things like that, and how you do your farming or whether or not you farm. Whatever, none of that's really relevant right now. The point is that a softcore character can die multiple times, come back multiple times, and there's not really a severe penalty for death for a softcore character. I play a hardcore character. A hardcore character has one life to live, and that's it. If a hardcore character dies by any means in the game, then that character is deleted entirely from Diablo servers, from Battle.net or Blizzard servers. You can't recover that character in any shape, in any fashion. You can't get that character back. Now, hopefully, if you do lose your character, you're going to do so because you went up against a monster that's too tough for you, or maybe a boss fight got really close and the boss got the better of you or something like that, and then you lose your character. Hopefully that's how your character will go out in a hardcore fashion. But even if you die to lag, if your character gets deleted due to lag or I don't know, like a power outage, or you know, even technical issues, like maybe a Windows update catches you off guard and restarts your PC without you knowing, then your character stays in just a little too long after you disconnect, and that's it. A hardcore character gets deleted no matter what. So you go into it knowing that this is the case. You go into it knowing that there are these risks. Alright, so basically, hardcore character means one life to live, and that's all you got. The next part of the title is MP10. Now this stands for Monster Power 10. In Diablo 3, you can increase the difficulty of the game. You can fine-tune the difficulty of the game by increasing the power of the monsters that you fight, which is why it's called Monster Power. Now, Monster Power scales from 0 to 10. 0 is the default difficulty of the game. This is how the game was originally designed. But you can up the difficulty of the monsters incrementally all the way up to 10. So starting at 0, you can increment all the way up to 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 10. And you don't have to work your way through these. You can just choose to have Monster Power 10, which is what I do. And this is the most difficult form of the monsters that you can face in the game. I like Monster Power 10. I like the monsters being really difficult. Now, it's key to note, though, that you also get drastically greater rewards for increasing the difficulty of the monsters. You get more experience, you get more gold, and that to me is really fun. Making the monsters really difficult means that you're not just hacking and slashing and cutting through monsters easily, you know, one or two abilities that kills the whole group, and then you move on to the next group, one or two abilities that kills the whole group. I don't really like that kind of gameplay. That's not challenging to me. I don't think that's very fun. I like my abilities to matter. I like having to use my abilities in a strategic and tactical fashion. I like having to play the game. So I up the difficulty to Monster Power 10, which in turn gives me greater rewards, so it's fun to do that because you get greater rewards for it. And it also makes the game more fun because it means that I have to actually play the game well in order to progress and succeed in the game. So that's why I do that. The next part of the title is self-found. Now in Diablo 3 there is the auction house. You have the gold auction house and the real money auction house. You can use these auction houses to purchase gear for your character so that you can continue to progress through the game. I don't really like using the auction house because it sort of makes negligible the entire point. It sort of makes negligible the need to actually play the game. If you run into some trouble while you're playing Diablo 3 and things start to get a little bit difficult, the idea is to go to the auction house and spend some gold or even spend some real money, which you're paying other players, and Blizzard takes a small cut of that, takes a small percentage of the transaction if you're using real money to get better gear. A lot of players are going to use just gold because you earn gold in the game, and you can also sell on the gold auction house and make gold that way, and you can just kind of level up your character or gear up your character in that fashion. So a lot of people don't put money into the game, but some do. Some people will actually pay real money for some of the gear, and I don't know if this is the case today, but when Diablo 3 first came out, people were experimenting with this, and the real money auction house was actually making some people some money, at least for a short time. I know people were paying like $250 for some really good gear that was on the auction house, and therefore that means another player was earning $250. And Blizzard takes a small cut, so it's not necessarily that much, but a player was earning a lot of money off of some of these really good drops if they got really lucky for finding this drop, or if they were really good and farmed it and knew where to go and things like that. So anyway, the auction house, the real money auction house, was an experiment by Blizzard. They are taking down both auction houses because the auction house itself, whether it's the gold auction house and it costs players nothing, or it's the real money auction house and it costs players money or makes players money or whatever, have detrimented the game because, as I said, the existence of the auction houses detriments the game because it means you don't have to actually play the game. You don't have to kill monsters to find loot. You don't have to complete quests to gear up your character or anything like that. You just have to go buy them and you have to take the shortcuts and go actually just buy your gear straight out, equip that gear, and then progress through the game that way. And I think that takes away a lot of the fun for the game. So self-found in the title means I'm only using gear that I myself have found. Either I stashed it in my bank or my stash. In this case, it's called the stash, I think, in Diablo. Either I stashed it there or I picked it up on this character myself. And there may be some items that were in my stash that I may have purchased from the auction house in the past, but not many of those are necessarily that. So, I mean, the stash was fairly small, and it's only got a few pieces of gear, but maybe some of those were from the auction house in the past at some point. I'm not sure about that. But for this particular run, for this barbarian, I'm only using items that I had already in my stash, or that I've found myself on this character in order to progress through the game. This, to me, makes the game a lot more difficult, and a lot more fun as well, because it means finding a good drop or crafting a good drop. Well, it's not a drop if you craft it, but finding good gear or crafting good gear becomes so much more important. There are artisans, there are crafters in the game that join you and follow you along on your quest, and I never really bothered to level them up like the blacksmith. I'm leveling up the blacksmith for the first time in this playthrough, in this hardcore run-through of the game, because I never really needed to in the past because of the auction house. It's a part of the game that's actually really fun to do. It's actually really fun to participate in. It's fun to level up the blacksmith. It's fun to find out what he can craft. It's fun to craft the gear that you need and get like really good items off of crafting them and collecting the materials and things like that as you play. It's just a really fun part of the game. But I never needed to do that because of the auction house. But in a self-found game, you do that. You actually are crafting. You are picking up good drops. You're looking for the things that drop off of monsters that are going to help your character. And when you find those kinds of things, it makes it exciting. And I really like that particular aspect of play. So that's what self-found means. It basically means I'm not using the auction house. It means that I'm relying on this barbarian's wits and what resources he had available to him, and just to him and whatever was in the stash. And then, of course, barbarian means the class that I'm playing. So I hope this explains a little bit about what's been going on at the stream, for those of you who are a little bit confused about the terminology in the title and what is actually happening in the game, so that maybe if you're following along as we play through this, you can get a little bit more out of it, kind of get a little bit of a better understanding of what's actually happening, and hopefully get a little bit more out of the stream. And if you're not following along and you'd like to watch the stream, you can click on the link in the video description below. I do have a link to my Twitch stream, It says other places to find my stuff or something like that in the description, and my Twitch stream is one of them. You can click there, you can follow there. You could also follow on my Twitter to keep an eye out for when I do start streaming. So maybe if you haven't been catching the stream, maybe you can. Alright, that'll do it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.